welcome back to Bacon. Also, welcome back to Cinderella Phenomenon. Klaude's route, and we're actually going to go back real quick to do this one just to see if it looks better or worse. Refuses help. I gently push his hand away and move to stand on my own. I am fine, thank you. I better not give him more reason than necessary to shower me with attention. I don't. This looks really bad. I stand and brush my dress off briskly. I notice emotion out of the corner of my eyes and look up to see Klaude striding toward us. He moves to stand beside me, a tight smile on his face. That was the right one. How rude it is of my brother to knock a beautiful lady over. You refused polite help because your man might get jelly? Ugh. Good gravy. I'm afraid all I can do in this situation is offer a heartfelt apology. Lance smiles a little sheepishly before he turns his full attention on Klaude. No matter what I can do, I can never make a difference. He died because of me. It's all my fault? They have so much gold and yet they won't spare a single coin. Hold on. Okay. What was the last thing that I remember happened? They were just talking about, then they parted. It's party stuff, and then he gave her a gift. What heck? This is... If only I could be rid of him. All he does is take. Take. The voice continues to pound inside my head like a trapped animal fighting its cage. I become aware that I am in a dream, a nightmare. The moment I realize, I begin to stir. I attempt to wake myself up, but stop when I hear another voice at the edge of my consciousness. How could they miss me? It's not as if they haven't already replaced me. The voice is familiar, and for a few moments it is the only echo I hear in my mind. Whose voice is this? I try to listen, but to no avail. The other voices soon press into my mind, making it impossible to hear anything else. I force myself awake. I'm gonna say real quick on top of this, since, we know that last one I just chose is the right one. My heart is beating erratically in my chest, and my head is pounding. I feel faint, even though I have just woken up. I glance slowly around my room with sleepy eyes, searching for Klaude, but he is not here. Ever since we became engaged, he has been sleeping in his room with me. In this room with me. Excusez-moi. The king was against it at first. Even I cannot help but be surprised by Claude's bold proposal. Yet, according to him, such a thing is tradition in Brigantia. How much you want to bet it's not, actually? Still, it took father many months to agree. In the end, he only relented with a month remaining to the wedding, saying that he found it more acceptable. It's pleasant when I wake up and actually find him sleeping next to me, but... I notice a small note on the bedside table and sigh. He has another morning meeting with my father, it seems. I put a hand to my forehead and close my eyes. And that nightmare. Ever since I became the Tenebrium bearer 2 years ago, I have been having these nightmares. Parfait tells me that they become milder the more I learn to put them to the back of my mind. Because it's all negativity and everything. The voices usually are not so terrible they drag me under like that. The last time the voices were this loud, it was because I was surrounded by negativity from somewhere close by. I sit up in bed and turn to look at the beast plush that lies just beside my pillow. That negativity isn't coming from Klaude, right? I am uncertain whether or not it's the truth or my imagination, but even though he is, for the most part, his usual self, there are moments when he feels different. There are moments where his smile wavers and a tinge of melancholy comes into his eyes. The first time I saw it was when he gave me the beast plush. That was 6 days ago. I've asked Klaude multiple times if something is amiss, and he always waves me off with a smile. I'm going to go ahead and theorize here that he might be thinking of the lady that he messed around with and then dumped, who cursed him. Because we don't know what happened to that witch. So, who knows? But I'm going to take a guess and say she might have something to do with it. I glance again around the room that we now share. Most of it has not changed, though Klaude has added some things. Namely, a piano that sits in one corner. I now have an ashes in my lap because she wouldn't stop crying. He insisted on putting it into the room when he first moved in. I had no qualms about it, not when I know the playing calms him down. Besides, I do not know... Blech. He insisted on putting it into the room when he first moved in. I had no qualms about it, not when I know the playing calms him down. Besides, I do not mind watching him play. Sometimes when I am in the mood, I play with him. Perhaps I should suggest playing together sometime later today. I stifle a sigh as I slide off of my bed and move to get dressed. A maid arrives to call me to breakfast and then leads me to the dining hall. Breakfast is livelier today on account of Lance, who sits beside Emmeline listening to everything the royal family is discussing with a broad smile on his face. Even though the king and Klaude are both absent from the table, Lance talks enough for the both of them. In fact, ever since he arrived, Lance has somehow managed to put himself in the spotlight for every family meal. So, in other words, Claude's worries might not be far off the mark after all. He does not start conversations on his own, but he is always quick to respond and usually with a smile. So he's an extrovert. He seems inherently interested in everything that he hears. It is amazing to me that he manages to be so animated and attentive so early in the morning. I know, right? My thoughts are preoccupied during breakfast, hovering somewhere between Claude's duties and my own. I listen while I eat, sometimes nodding along with the conversation. I have almost cleared my plate when Lance speaks directly to me, jolting me out of my reverie. Have you ever spoken with the witches in Brigantia, Princess? Up. I look up and blink, trying to piece together what he might have been saying. The witches from Brigantia? Klaude tells me that you interact with many witches because of your position as Tenebrarum bearer. He puts a hand on his chest and gives a slight bow. Even sitting down in front of a half-finished breakfast plate, he manages to make the motion look somehow dignified. I must stress that, as always, it is an honor to be in your presence. I cannot help but smile at him. Most of the time, being the Tenebrarum bearer is more an ordeal than a blessing, but I have learned to appreciate the responsibility. Please, Lance, there is no need for that. I shake my head. And no, I do not usually speak with Brigantian witches. I usually have no reason to, unless there is some kind of upset. From what I have heard, though, the witches in Brigantia are content. There are still incidents involving witches in Angiel every so often, but thankfully those incidents have been on the decline in the last year. It does seem that way, though I cannot say with absolute certainty because I do not have many witch acquaintances. Lance's eyes brighten. He seems to be lost in memory for a few moments, but then he speaks up. Many of the witches I do know have visited the castle to perform extraordinary magical feats. Mother has a few witch acquaintances that help her decorate her midnight parties with enchanted objects. That sounds cool. Midnight parties? Emily looks at Lance in wonder. Mother's a bit of a night owl, so she throws many parties at night. She refers to her weekly evening celebrations as midnight balls. Ah, that sounds lovely. It sounds like a lot of fun. I would love to be a part of that. With or without enchanted objects, you know. They are quite lovely, if not a bit overwhelming at times. But I suppose that's to be expected. Brigantia is known for its animated nightlife. It's sleepy when the sun is still up and lively when the moon rises. So does that make it Los Angeles or New York? The balls are a particularly special nighttime celebration with renowned performers. One year when Klaude and I were still young, my mother invited a witch whose specialty was magical gardening. I like that, magical gardening. The witch conjured an entire field of colored roses. Oh, of course it was roses. That's... Lance laughs. Suffice it to say, it left quite the impression. I think we learned to appreciate roses a lot more after we were gifted an entire field of them. I wonder if such showcases are part of the reason Klaude loves roses so much. I think of the rose locket and smile. What sort of magic do you specialize in, Princess Lucette? I look up at Lance, momentarily perplexed. Delora taught me shields and ice first, so I am probably most comfortable with those spells, but I do not consider them my specialty. Wouldn't she technically kind of specialize in all magic? There's just some that she's a little better at than others, but she's like the queen witch, so to speak, right? Lucette is very good with ice. She made a sculpture of Klaude once for his birthday. Emmeline. Lance stares at me with clear interest. You made a sculpture out of ice? That's amazing. Klaude thought it was amazing too, even if I could never get his features right. Aw. He teased me about it for a long time afterward, but he was definitely distressed when I set the sculpture outside in the sun so that it would melt. There's a broom here that she animated to clean all its own too. No, Mr. Broom is entirely Delora and Parfai's fault. I did not want to bring it here at first, but in the end agreed to it because the thing wouldn't leave me alone when I visited the tavern. The Mr. Broom gets involved in every route so far, and I love that. He is an important character, okay? I brought it here and tweaked the enchantment on it so that it could sweep on its own. Now, at least, Delora cannot renew the enchantment on it to tease me. Rod looks up from his plate, eyebrows raised. A little more than a year ago, Lucette created a light show in the dining hall. There was electricity bouncing everywhere. That lightning spell was a difficult beginner's spell. Lance laughs, looking delighted. I would love to see that too. A hall of lightning? Yeah! You are a master of all trades. I wouldn't expect anything less from the Cinderella bearer. It is a shame that you can't come to Brigantia for a long time to meet the witches there. They speak of you fondly, even if they cannot see you often. They do? Most certainly. That is surprising. But perhaps I am making more progress with everyone than I first thought. I think about what Lance said about my inability to visit Brigantia. Unfortunately, I cannot leave Angel for extended periods of time when I am the Cinderella bearer. I have to remain in the kingdom because I am tied to the crystal, but... My thoughts shift to Klaude. He has gone to visit Brigantia a number of times without me, but I know that he is sad I cannot join him. Isn't that always why they have like a secondary and third leader that royalty leave behind on the rare occasions that they do have to leave for whatever reason, like for celebrations in other places and stuff like that? Because of my own position as Cinderella bearer, I could never go to Brigantia and become a princess there. That is the reason my wedding engagement with Klaude will make him a crown prince of Angel. Well, that's understandable because she is the next in line. She's also the most competent person who is next in line as well. No offense to Rod and Emmeline. Like, Rod, I think, is going to make a good partner in his route for certain, but him being the direct leader, I still feel like he's a little too immature and emotional for that, so maybe when he's older. It is also the reason Klaude was forced to step down as the crown prince of Brigantia and hand the title over to his brother. I feel like Lance would be a good king, though. Probably better than Klaude, as much as I love Klaude. Lance breaks through my thoughts with a question. Might I be so bold as to ask for a demonstration? I would be happy to tell you more about Klaude if you would show me some of your magic. Ophelia, who had been quietly listening in on our conversation, suddenly stands from the table with a smile. I'll leave you all to it then, but please, no electric mishaps. I am more than capable of controlling my electricity. Ophelia just smiles at my embarrassment before excusing herself from the table. A magical demonstration, I am still considering what spell to cast when the doors to the dining hall swing open and Klaude walks inside. He looks somehow downtrodden, his expression broody. I was about to say his body is expression. Karma, you just came in time for the princess's magic demonstration. Klaude turns and looks at me quizzically, his expression softening. Then I have arrived at the perfect time. He keeps walking until he is standing behind my chair. I'm relieved to see his initial stress completely disappeared from his face. I turn my gaze to the rest of the table. Everyone is looking at me expectantly. A spell. Should I do something that I'm comfortable with, or something new? Alright, I'm gonna save here. Let's see. And I'm gonna go ahead and end the episode here as well. I do have work later. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am Bacon, and this so far has been Cinderella Phenomenon, Evermore, Klaude's Route. If you liked the video, feel free to like the video. If you like me, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, all that lovely stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!